Welcome back to Six Cars, everybody, and welcome back to more American content. We've moved states this time. We're not in New York anymore. We are now in Connecticut. You can see behind me there's a huge show field here. The show today is Caffeine and Carburetors. I would say there's at least 500 cars here so far. It's very early in the morning, but the show field is full, so I can't wait. It's gonna be a long video because there's a mix of supercars, JDMs, muscle cars, just a bit of everything, which is what I really love doing, these massive shows with awesome diversity. So let's just flip the camera around, jump right to it. I'll show you guys the crew we rolled in with this morning because we've got some great cars there as well. But of course, I'll give you the classic reminder of subscribe, like, comment, and share. So flip the camera around and start our journey through Caffeine and Carburetors here in Connecticut. So we have rolled up the Caffeine and Carburetors with the E39. We've also picked up an FK8 Type R, 3 Skylines, all very nice. The Tommy Kyra RR34, which is obviously incredibly rare, especially even in the States. Don't see too many of these. We didn't even really see many in Japan too, so awesome. We have that. We've got Jason in the R34, and we have a Tommy Kyra R32 over there as well. But the show field is massive, guys, so this is going to be a long video, and I'm sure it's going to be a ton of great cars, so let's get at it. You guys want to see the diversity at the show. E30 M3, twin turbo Gallardo, and DB8 Integra Type R, so the 4-door compared to the 2-door DC2, and it has Desmond Regamaster Evo wheels on it as well, which is lovely. But turn around, have a look at this Gallardo. Obviously with the twin turbo kit, you're not really fitting the rear bumper on it. I think we've seen a couple Huracans back in Toronto, but not the Gallardo. But everything is cut open. I love it. You can just see the transmission dumped at the bottom here, just like the Sesto Elemento. Can't even imagine how much power is coming out of this car, but I'm sure it sounds pretty damn nuts too. We might get a start up here as well. There's some great JDM content here, my goodness. So you already saw the Skyline crew that we have with us, but we've got a nice Evo 6 in black. The paint on this looks immaculate, by the way, absolutely beautiful. Over here, we've got a Mark II Tour V as well, which looks fantastic. White on the gold BBS, such a good look for that car. The cars are pretty tightly packed together, so I get the best angles that I can. There's also the right-hand drive Toyota Celsior as well. Got a nice NA1 NSX behind that, another YYZ Curator sighting, but man, very good selection so far, and obviously great to see the JDM. And we do have a look at this Blazer here. Oh my, the flames paint on the side. What do we have under the hood here? Oh my goodness, look at the stacks on top of it. That is outrageous. Really just a bit of everything here so far. Got the little Suzuki, I think it's the Jimny pickup here, but a little surprise under the hood. It looks like it's got the Honda S2000 motor and it's boosted as well, but you can only imagine the power to weight in this is pretty ridiculous. And if I take you around to the back here, you can obviously see the interior. It's got the pistol grip shifter, a very racy looking interior, the carbon fiber around the dash too. You can even see right through to the interior through the back. There's no casing or anything. Pretty hilarious. You could just jump out of the car from the back end, but I can't imagine how much power, how much fun this would be to drive too. But very cool looking car, and again, the diversity here, pretty damn sweet so far. Got the brand new M5, everybody, the big old chunky boy. I can't remember the exact figure for the weight, but it's comparison to like a Ford F-150, like a full-size pickup truck. It's incredibly massive, but obviously a ton of power too. And not sure what you guys think of the new design. I think it looks not too bad. I mean, you can compare it to the big kidney grills on the G82 M4 over there. This one is much smaller. Obviously, I'm not really sure if you like the big kidneys or the small ones, but this is not a bad looking car. It's just man, the weight, again, look at the power figures. It's absolutely insane how big and chunky this thing is, but overall the looks not too bad. Got the RWB 993 looking fantastic. This sort of like, I almost want to call like a light gunmetal very good looking. And on the BBSs, very nice. It doesn't have that like big, huge, traditional giant wing that you'd see on a lot of RWBs. It's got a very nice looking duckbill though. So this one you could kind of say is more of like a subtle look to an RWB, but this one almost has some like Gunther Works style retrofitted taillights too, so very good looking. Center exit exhaust is nice. I've never seen RWB like this before actually, so great little find here. We do have hypercars here, obviously drawing massive crowds, so I'll see what I can get. But this Huayra Roadster here is quite interesting because it's not a standard Roadster. It looks like it has some kind of Tempesta back on. It's got the canards at the front. It also has like a Zonda Chinkway style roof intake hanging over the top, which looks so cool with the top taken off. There's a little like tiny shark fin at the back too, which is interesting. It has the wing, which is not standard to the regular Huayra Roadster, so some nice little modifications. But the roof intake is what's really selling me on this particular car. It's very nice, full carbon fiber. Obviously you can see a Chiron Sport and a Veyron over there as well. I think there's a couple other hypercars too, so let's try and beat the crowds here and see what we can see. You know, we finally made our way over to the Chiron Sport through the crowds. Now obviously this one is quite good looking, black on silver accents, or chrome accents actually, but it's quite interesting because most of the Chirons will have blacked out grills. This one is obviously painted in silver. The black Bugatti badge is pretty unique too, which obviously matches the wheels and the brake setup too, the sort of chrome on black. Very nice. This is actually the Chiron Noir edition, so not sure how many of them there are, but this is why you get the special accents, the special colored Bugatti badge as well. It's a very good looking car, obviously, and beside it we do have its predecessor, the Veyron Grand Sport. I'll get a better angle of it in 1 second. There is the Veyron Grand Sport, and obviously the drop top version. You can see they've parked it with the top off, which is exactly how you should do it. This one is a very nice white on red interior too. It's a very nice two-tone look to this Veyron, and I think it's aged tremendously, especially when you see it compared to the Chiron, which also looks fantastic. But you can obviously see where some of the design carried over, obviously still very distinctly Bugatti, and now obviously the Chiron's being phased out, the brand new Tourbillon. But I think the Veyron is just getting better with age, and I think the Grand Sport or the Vitesse, any of the drop top variants are probably some of the best out there. It's a great looking car. Yeah, beside the Veyron, you have the Pininfarina Battista. Obviously, it's a pretty good looking design. We're talking about designs that are aging well. Like, compared to some of the other electric cars, I think the Battista is one of the better looking ones. Obviously, 2,000 horsepower is pretty damn impressive. It has the active arrow in the back too, and this style of wing actually, when it is popped up, so with the sort of the cut in the middle, kind of reminds me of the old Zonda C12. But yeah, in terms of performance electric hypercars, the Battista is definitely one of the better ones out there. Very rare SL65 Black Series tucked way in the back of the parking lot. This is why you got to scan every single aisle when you come to a big show like Caffeine and Carburetors, because you hardly ever see these around. I mean, we only have a few in Toronto, and I can't remember the last time I've actually seen one of these, but a very good looking car. Obviously, it's got the V12 bi-turbo, which is a very sought after engine in Mercedes lore, but you can see just how much hippier it is compared to your standard SL63s and 65s. What they did with the fender rolling and just making the natural OEM wide body looks great. Got the active rear wing at the back too, which YYZ Curator is covering there right now, but it's just a great looking car, and always a treat when you get to see these things. I'm not sure what kit exactly is on the Supra, but it looks fantastic. It's not overdone, it's not over the top or anything. It's subtle, but it works. And what also works is the 5-spoke Workmeisters. That looks fantastic. It suits so many JDM cars. The fitment on it is absolutely perfect. I'll take you back here where it has this little like duckbill wing. So I'm not sure if he's done any power upgrades or anything, but that obviously is quite aerodynamic and would help with top speed. So be interesting to see if anything was done under the hood. But hey, the Supra looks very, very good. And behind it, check this out, guys. The Series 2 Elise on, again, these Desmond Regamaster Evos. This is a wheel we saw a lot of back at WECFest New Jersey, but actually this car might be one we saw back at WECFest New Jersey now that I'm thinking about it. But under the sun here outside in Connecticut, it looks fantastic, and you really don't need to do too much to these Elises. They already look so fun. They're incredibly fun to drive, of course, and on these Desmond Regamasters with the matching white to the body paint too, just looks so good. Wow, wow, wow. As it starts up there, Lancia 037. This might be my favorite car we've seen so far. Incredibly rare, a Group B rally monster. Obviously the Delta, the Stratos would be the most well-known Lancias, more popular I would say, but 037 is my favorite. And just look at the design. It is so iconic, just one of a kind. Oh my goodness. Can't get enough of that. Good thing we caught this on time just as it's pulling out as well. Now here is a really, really cool Lamborghini. There are so many Aventadors around. We've seen so many on the channel, but this one is probably my favorite of the lot in terms of the factory editions. This is the LP724, which was a special edition done for the 50th anniversary. So obviously, you guys know the SE30 Diablos, the 40th anniversary Murcielagos. This is the 50th anniversary of Aventador. So they changed the front end. They give it a little bit more power over the standard one, and it's just such a good looking car. The back is a bit modified as well from your standard LP700 Aventadors, but just the subtle changes they did to the bodywork on this car, I think worked so well, and it really made this car pop. And this is, in my opinion, the best looking version of the Aventador from factory. Good little trio of Mopars for my muscle car fans on the channel too. We've got a rare Challenger convertible. I don't really see too many open top versions of this car, but that is quite nice. We do have a Roadrunner over there as well with the 383 motor. Quite nice. There we go. We've got the hood open too, so you have a little peek under the hood. Quite nice. Everything is in very good shape. Beside that, we have a very, very bright colored orange Roadrunner, again with the 383 in it, and this one obviously has the kind of cool cartoon work on it with the Coyote Duster. Obviously, if you guys watch like old Looney Tune cartoons, you can kind of obviously understand the references there with the car, but it does look quite good, and it's nice to see all these are in pretty good shape too, all parked up together. Very good selection. We have an Exige Cup 430 here, another car I was just not expecting to see at this show, but essentially the most extreme version of the Series 3 Exige. I don't even think you could buy these cars here, actually. It's on British plates front and back, so I'm not really sure if this is just someone who's imported it and is just driving it through the States, but either way, very cool to see, and obviously black and gold, sort of reminiscent of old John Player Special Lotus Formula 1 cars, so great little touch with the spec. And yes, it is right-hand drive, so I'm assuming this has obviously been shipped over from the UK for a drive, but you can obviously see it's lighter, it's more powerful than the standard Exige. You get a much bigger wing on it for that extra downforce too. Great looking car, especially as Lotus is shifting to an electric future, which is quite unfortunate for a brand like this that took so much pride in creating lightweight, fun sports cars. But this is sort of one of the final spiritual Lotuses. Such a good looking car. Green first gen Gallardo Spider, and it's unmodified too, which is so rare these days. It looks like people just love to basically do whatever they want to these cars, and sort of takes away from the elegance of just the base Gallardo. So, and to see one in a color that is as rare as this dark green is really special too. And it's on a brown and like almost like a cream two-tone interior, a really bold spec. Definitely something I have never seen before. And from the front, it almost looks black. It would be kind of hard to tell if you just saw it coming towards you on the road, but this is actually a very dark green, and it looks really nice. Here is something you definitely do not see every day. Now, you might be confused as to what exactly this is, but this is actually a Toyota, specifically the Toyota Serra. Now, this is not a very limited car. I think there was like over 15,000 of these made. However, majority of them were sold in Japan. So to see one stateside here in Connecticut is pretty special. And obviously what makes it so unique is these McLaren style doors. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's a great design too. A very tiny car, and very fitting with the Japanese theme. He's got the Suntory Boss black coffee cans in there. Hey, if you're in Japan, by the way, those things taste great. Really good in the morning, by the way. But the car itself is very, very good looking. And again, just very rare, something I was not expecting to see at this show. And it doesn't look like it's stock either, because, well, obviously Toyota is not going to sell you an exhaust that looks quite like that. To be interesting to see what this thing sounds like, but wow, the doors are obviously quite special, and this is definitely not your average Toyota. So this R33 is finished in a pretty well-known gold if you're familiar with the Japanese tuning scene, and if you don't recognize the gold on Skylines, well, look up this company right here, Top Secret, because they are one of the most legendary Skyline tuners in history. Smokey Nagata, the mastermind of making Skylines that can just go well over 300 kilometers an hour, ripping them on the Tokyo expressways. And a lot of his cars were painted in gold too. So this one does have legitimate top secret mods done to it. I can only imagine that it is ridiculously fast, and shouts out the Advan TC4s look really good on this too. I can see some bodywork done to it. Obviously these little side intakes on the skirts, the hood is very cut up as well. So I'm going to assume this thing is going to be putting out a ton of power, and the gold, like I said, very iconic to these top secret modified Skylines. Okay, we're sort of in like a main area of the show now. You can see the mansion behind me, but this section is reserved for some very special collector cars. That's why you see much bigger crowds up here, a lot more noise, but we'll try and fight through the crowds and get the best angles because there are some very special cars in here. We do have some very, very special cars up in this section of the event. So obviously the first gen Carrera RS. Behind that we do have the Ferrari 365 GTB for Daytona, finished in black, which definitely suits the car. It gives it that elegant style that definitely suits it. And behind it we do have an Aston Martin DB5 as well. I really needs no introduction, absolutely iconic, the ride of choice of James Bond in the classic silver color as well. But as you can see, there's a lot of special cars here. Look, there's an AMC Rambler, you hardly ever see those around. Classic Citroen, just keeps going and going. I can see a couple of special edition Ford GTs here as well. Now there were so many different special editions of this new Ford GT, a lot of heritage ones that paid homage to different Ford GT 40 race cars over the years. So not even sure which one this is called, but it does look very good. You can see the iconic Golf one behind there too. So we'll try and get through these crowds and get a better look at it. There is the Golf 4 GT, so obviously incredibly iconic design. I'm not sure which one you guys prefer between the first Heritage style over there and the Golf one, but I think I have to take the Golf just because everybody knows and loves that paint scheme so well. Beside that, a sort of like balloon white Diablo SV. There's no SV sticker on it, so it's a little unassuming. My goodness, there's a lot of crowds here, but it's a little unassuming. Usually you might have like a big SV sticker down the side. This one does not have it, but it does have the SV 5-spoke. So that is the easiest way to tell in case you are a bit confused. But it's just an incredible car. Speaking of which, a very rare XDR 15 beside that, developed in partnership with Tom Walkinshaw Racing. There is their badge just down at the front there. But again, very, very rare cars here towards the front of the show at Caffeine Carburetors. We do have a bit of a clear view of the front of the XDR 15 for a brief moment here, so you guys can see just how nice this design is. They did race them for a bit, and obviously Tom Walkinshaw Racing is the team that helped develop and raise these cars. That's why their sticker is on the front. But yes, very more subtle, I would say, compared to the XJ220, which is streamlined, and obviously it looks like it's built for top speed, but this one is a full-blown race car for the road. It is such a cool-looking design, especially parked up with another 90s supercar there with the Diablo SVs. We can sort of get a better look than we did before, but obviously very, very iconic cars here. There you go, another unexpected find, the Glickenhaus SCG-007 Le Mans car, one of the first cars actually from the new hypercar regulations. Unfortunately, they don't race it anymore, but my goodness, such a good look. I actually love the fins on the back of the rear wing too there for extra aerodynamics. It's a real character trait of the car, I would say. But inside, obviously, yeah, pretty bare bones. There's nothing inside of these. Visibility is incredibly minimal. They do have cameras on the side over there. That's pretty much it. Once you're in the car, it's pretty tough to get out. But such a great looking car, and honestly, you could call Glickenhaus one of the pioneers of the early hypercar regs of this new golden age of sports cars. Wow, we have the Restomod Diablo from Centrica looking very good. We saw the back of the castle shoot actually back in August. Good thing we did, because much smaller crowds back there. We have the SSC Twitara, the crazy American hypercar that's like 300 miles an hour or something. And there is the Camaro 037, the Restomod of the Lancia 037 we saw before. But the Centrica has less of a crowd around it, so I'll show you guys that. It does have like sort of modernized pop-ups. These kind of fold down, because obviously pop-ups have been outlawed, but these guys found a clever way around it. So that is a street legal Trofeo car. Got a great collection of Lamborghinis here. We've got a Halpa, which rarely ever see, to be honest. It sort of looks like a Pantera, but it's not. It is a Lamborghini, but it's a very cool looking car. Beside that, we do have a Countach in the traditional red. We do have the Diablo GT here in silver, which is one of 99. And a Diablo SE30 over there in the classic purple too, which we'll get to in a second. But this is just a mega car. There's a better look at the GT, guys. There was a lot of crowds around before, but for good reason. It's a very special car. The back is open too, so you can see that massive V12. Obviously, this is based off of the racing Diablo GTRs. So you're, again, big cliche, but it is a race car for the road. And sorry, it's 80 Diablo GTs that have been made. So this, as you can see, number 47 of 80, just a real unicorn. And beside it, again, another impressive and very nice looking Diablo, the SE30. This is the iconic SE30 purple. You'll see newer like Hurricanes and Aventadors in this color as well. This is what they're paying homage to, and I absolutely love the blue belts, the 4-point harness, looking great. And there's another look, yet another V12. This one isn't as raw or open as the GT, but it is still a big old Lamborghini V12. There's a couple of standard Diablos beside it as well, so this really is a great lineup of V12 icons. Here's another cool quirky find. There's been so many small British sports car companies over the years, but honestly, Noble is definitely one of the coolest ones. I'm not even sure if this is like the M12 or the M400. They all look quite similar, but they all have the same design philosophies. They're very light, and they try to pump out as much power as they can to create the best driving experience, sort of like Lotus. But I always thought they look very nice, and you hardly ever see them around, so very special treat to see any kind of Noble for that matter. Definitely a very cool car. Oh, the S13 here, looking not too stock, that's for sure, especially after seeing that bone stock Gallardo Spider. Here is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I shouldn't really have to tell you guys, just from having a quick look under the hood there, that it is very modified, pumping out a lot of power. This does look like a drift setup too. You can tell the cracked bumper might have tapped a few walls in its day, but the fitment is quite nice. Look at the size of this rear wing though. It is absolutely massive. It's almost as tall as I am, about like 5'9", and this thing is coming right close to my shoulders. So yeah, it's quite large, and I can only imagine this thing is quite loud too. Got the Mazda AutoZam AZ1, one of the famous ABCK cars, obviously, with the Beat and the Cappuccino, and this was Mazda's version. This one's obviously quite modified. The white multi-spokes really suit the car, actually. It looks quite good. The Gulf livery, I have not seen that on an AutoZam before, but obviously the gull-wing doors what really stand out with this car, and this one does have the Mazda Speed rear wing on the back too, so very cool looking, and it sort of has like McLaren Senna style windows on it too, which is that little part underneath. So a very raw and very interesting sports car from Mazda's long illustrious history. Okay, BMW Isetta, but I'm showing you guys this because look at the license plate. That is so cool. Again, Ontario's plates, incredibly boring. Florida's vanity plates, way more fun. Well guys, that does it for our time here in New York and Connecticut. Caffeine Carburetors, huge success, crazy show, so many cars. Obviously, I am filming this before it's been edited, but it's going to be a very long video. So if you made it to the end, I appreciate you. We're heading back with the R34 and the M5 back to Toronto. So tune in next time, and thanks as always for watching this video, guys. We'll see you next time on 6 Cars.